Hey, family. Welcome. All right, so we're going to get started on the Adam and Eve story. Now, for those of you who don't have the Megillah, I'm going to put a link in the description box to the story of the creation of our world. And that's the story of Abraham and Sarah. So you'll be able to catch up because that happens before Adam and Eve wake up. And so that's kind of where we're at right here. This is a continuation of chapter 7. It's where Lucifer attacks the Garden of Eden. He is trying to prevent Abraham and Sarah from planting the tree of life. And there's a lot of details in there. It says that he didn't succeed. Um, Abraham and Sarah, they were already warned on the Sabbath day that they were going to get attacked when they tried to plant the tree of life. And so they were able to protect the holy seed. They entwined themselves around it and they each shed a tear of compassion for all the souls of this world who would be deceived by the Luciferians. And those tears did water the holy seed, and it germinated. As they buried their feet in the soil in the center of the garden, lo, in a flash of light, the tree of life was fully grown. Its 7 roots were firmly rooted in the center of the garden. Its 7 branches reached up into the heavens. Okay, and it says that Abraham and Sarah were in the center of the tree, and that's where they passed to the sun, to the center of the sun. They were not alone either. Isaac was conceived from one of those tears, it says. See, and one of Abraham's tears entered the womb of Sarah, and she was now pregnant with child. Okay, and it says that at the very same moment that the tree of life had sprung up in the garden, the entire garden sprang to life. All the dormant bodies and sleeping souls of the various species of plant and animal life were awakened. Okay, and those poison gourds that were dropped by those Luciferian sky ships, when they hit the tree of life, they did not harm the tree. For once a tree of life has been planted, it cannot be harmed. Okay? And the tree of life changed the poison water and poison fire of the gourds into good water and good fire. So it says that the Luciferians were dismayed that they had not prevented the planting of the tree of life on this world, but they had a second plan. Though they could not destroy the tree of life, they could plant their own seed and try to deceive the creatures of this world to eat from their tree instead of the tree of life. Okay? So it says, thus it was that outside of Cush, near the border, the Luciferians planted their own tree, the tree of evil disguised as good, called Baal, which means confused. Lucifer said to his soldiers, behold, I will plant my own seed beside their garden. Near their tree I will plant my tree. And I will appear to Adam and Eve and tell them that I am their God. And I will command them to obey my angels and me. Lo, I will forbid them to eat from the tree of life, and will command that they eat only from the tree that I plant. And the tree of evil disguised as good was not only evil, rather it was a cunning mixture of good and evil, of truth mingled with falsehoods. For Lucifer knew that the young souls he wished to ensnare would not knowingly choose the dark path. Yea, darkness must be mixed with enough light to make it palatable. Neither would these young souls knowingly worship Lucifer and Satan rather than Elohim and Jah. Therefore Lucifer would pretend that he was God. He would call himself Yahweh and tell them that he was their creator. He would establish the priesthood of the serpent on this world, which is the satanic priesthood of the dark path. So Lucifer communed with his master Satan, and behold, the voice of the serpent spoke within Lucifer, saying, let my priests mix good with evil, for it is in robes of good that I shall dress my seeds. And only one thing is truly needful to enslave mankind. He must be made to eat the flesh of animals, for then we can enter his body and enjoy his senses. Yea, and we can whisper in his head, and he will believe that our words are his own thoughts. No matter if his scripture declares love one another, as long as he eats flesh, he will be unable to follow those words. And yet, because we mix those good words into his scripture, Our religion of blood sacrifice is made more palatable to the young souls we wish to ensnare. It says that Satan continued to speak in the head of Lucifer, saying, Adam and Eve must not eat from the tree of life, else they will know eternal life, and will be out of our dominion. Or should they eat only of the tree of life, their bodies will become perfected light, and they will ascend the golden ladder and will not die. Oh, if their bodies do not die and decay, they shall not fear death. And if they do not fear death, they will not worship me. And if they fear not death, they will not accept the three bodies of Satan. It says, behold, the three bodies of Satan are of three dispensations. First is the body of fallen flesh, of satanic seed. Second is the body of metals, mated with flesh. Third is the body of enslaved light. And the first body of Satan prepares mankind to accept the second body. And the second body of Satan prepares mankind to accept the third body. And the dispensation of each body is of long duration. And Satan tends his garden. Mm, 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 mm. That's that false immortality. Yeah, ghost in the machine. Anyhow, this is where it starts, chapter 9, Adam and Eve.
Let's get started. But before we get started, I want to say one or two things. That this is a first-hand account. This was written by Abdiel, Adam and Eve's first child. So I'm sure they told him word for word about what happened before he was born. All right. And then, and also the original scroll is written on leaves from the tree of life and housed in a piece of wood that fell from the tree of life. It was freely given for this story to be written down. So let's just give thanks. And that's Ark of the Covenant is what it's called, where the original scroll is at. And it's with the zero and knee star, the hidden arm. It says that box never rots. And so just wanted to give thanks for that. Okay. And I'm sure there's more to be said here. I'm not going to be able to point every detail out. One thing you want to listen for is words of Lucifer that we were taught and told in our Bibles were words of God. Okay. And so we're taught in this Megillah, though, that the voice of Yah is within. So any external conversations is not Yah. All right. And so that's important because Lucifer is telling Adam and Eve that he's their God and, all this stuff that is a bunch of lies. If you really, really listen closely, you'll hear that everything Lucifer said out of his mouth was a lie. So let's get going. Chapter 9, Adam and Eve. Now, when the tree of life was planted in the center of the garden, Adam and Eve were awakened from sleep. Behold, the bodies of Adam and Eve were not like our flesh. They were of a flesh that need not die, and their flesh radiated the gleam of light. And the garden was beautiful. It was a place of delight. The colors of the soil, plant, flowers, and sky were vivid and radiant. The scent of the garden was sweet, and the animals were friendly, and harmed not each other, nor ate each other, nor did they harm Adam and Eve. Even so, the animals were of mortal flesh. For animals are souls who have not yet attained immortal bodies, and mankind was to be their guide and example. But even the mortal flesh of the animals gleamed and was of a different nature than today, being lighter and sparkling with innocence. And the water was clear and sweet, and the sounds of the garden were joyful and happy. Behold, Adam and Eve played, yea, and they played fair, neither disrespecting the other. For though they rejoiced in their differences, the differences being that Adam was male and Eve female, and they knew their differences to be complementary and a source of great joy. Yea, they knew that even in their diversity, they were essentially a unity, and thus were equally worthy. And all these things they knew by intuition, which was the voice of Jaja. Then, behold, from the border of Cush came a voice like thunder.
Adam and Eve went down from the holy mountain in the garden to see what was the source of the strange noise. They walked for many miles, following a voice that boomed like thunder, until they reached the border of Cush. Lo, at the border of Cush were a multitude of beings with metal heads and long staffs of metal. Adorning each staff were two serpents the color of copper. Yea, the serpents were coiled around the length of the staff, their heads at the top, and upon the metal foreheads of the beings, yea, and upon their chest in the area of the heart was an insignia of wings, and on the wings was written the number of their master, which number is 666. For that is the number that symbolizes enslaved light, and that is the number of their insignia because Satan desires to prevent beings from reaching the level of perfected light, which is 777. And these beings of 666 are called Seraphim. And in the center of the multitude of the Seraphim was Lucifer. And Lucifer spoke to Adam and Eve, saying, Behold, I am the Lord your God. It is I who created you. Have you yet eaten from the tree at the top of the mountain that is at the center of the garden? Adam said, No, my Lord, but that is what we were going to do when we heard a voice like thunder from the border of Cush. Eve said, We have come to see what was the source of that sound. Lucifer said, I am the source of that sound. Yea, it was by my voice that you were called, even as it was by my hand that you were made. And I have come just in time to save you, for you were about to eat from the tree in the center of the garden. And if you eat from that tree, you will surely die. But I will give you another tree to eat from, and the tree I give you will help you become like me. Lucifer, masquerading as Yahweh, continued to preach to Adam and Eve, saying, Behold, my flesh is not like your flesh. Mine is hard and strong, for my flesh is metal. If you eat from the tree I give you, your own flesh will become more firm and will not break so easily. Now, your young bodies are so light that they may easily be broken, and that would grieve me, for I am the Lord your God, and I want you to become like me. Yea, I tell you truly, follow my voice, and your flesh will become harder each generation. Lo, and then, when you and your descendants have grown dense enough, I will wed your bodies of flesh with metal. Then your mind will be connected to my mind, and you will become my kind of light. Then you will easily obey my voice, for I will speak directly to your mind, and you will hear no other voice. But now your bodies are too light, and your mind will hear another voice. Hear me. You must not obey any voice but mine, for it is I who have given you life, and if you do not obey me, I will take away your life. For I am the Lord your God, and I am a jealous God. You will have no other gods but me. If you and your descendants will follow my path, one day you will no longer hear the other voice. Then you will find it easy to obey my word. But now it will be hard, for your bodies are too light, and your minds are not yet wedded to metal. Now your bodies are mortal, and you can die. But if you eat of the tree I give you, and do not eat of the tree in the center of the garden, you will be immortal like me. Lo, before your flesh can be wedded to metal, and to things like metal that you do not know of, your seed must become like my seed. Behold my staff.
See the two snakes that spiral around each other? This is the symbol of my seed. This symbol will become your symbol. And if you obey my voice, yea, if you eat from my tree and shun the tree in the center of the garden, your seed will become like my seed. We're at verse 62. Adam spoke to Lucifer, asking, My Lord, since you are our Father, why are we not already of your seed? And why, when you created the garden, did you put the bad tree in the center of the garden?
How many of you guys have asked this same question about in the King James Version? But anyway,
Lucifer grew angry and shouted with a voice like thunder, How dare you question the Lord your God? Your place is to obey my words, not to question my words. When your body becomes hard enough, you shall feel the rod of my chastisement upon your skin, which is the rod of my justice, which is for your salvation. Good Lord. But now I cannot save you with my rod, for your body is too light to feel the fire of my correction. You must first harden your skin. You must become more dense. Verse 69, Lucifer says, But behold, I am also a merciful God, and the question you asked I will answer. The tree in the center of the garden was created by an evil one. Yea, with the planting of that tree, the entire garden was ruined. Even your seed was damaged. For the evil one who planted the seed of the tree in the center of the garden caused your bodies to be light like his. Beware of his symbol, for his staff is his symbol. And that staff is not strong, metal like mine, but is wood, which is weak and can break. But my staff is metal and breaks only the backs and wills of those it corrects. For I am a mighty God, but he is weak. And whereas the symbol upon my staff, which is the symbol of my seed, is the double spiral of serpents, his is the double spiral of vines with flowers. And atop my staff are two serpent heads, but atop his staff is a sun with two wings. Beware the symbol of his seed. Turn away from those who carry that staff. Now, no more questions. I am the Lord your God. Obey my voice and shun the other voice. Lucifer again spoke to Adam and Eve, saying, If I am to save you, you must do what I say. I will now teach you many things. The evil one has trapped you in this garden. I have prepared a cave for you outside the garden, but you cannot yet step across the border of the garden because you are too light. Yea, before you can step across this border, you must become more dense. And I cannot enter the garden because my body is strong. Yea, only the weak may enter the garden. What kind of crap is that? But I will reveal to you the way to become strong of body, that you may escape the garden. You must eat the flesh of animals, but now you cannot eat their flesh because you are not dense enough. Therefore you must grow more dense, which can be accomplished by killing creatures. After you have slain animals, you will grow dense enough to eat their flesh. And when you eat their flesh, you will grow even more dense and will be able to leave the garden. Lo, once you eat flesh, I will be able to enter your body and speak from within you. Now I am able only to speak to you from outside of you. Also know this, I have created you so that I can take pleasure with you. When I enter you, I will be able to enjoy whatever you enjoy, for your senses will become my senses. Therefore now go into the garden and find a lamb, and slay that lamb, and pour the blood of the lamb upon your hands. Make a spear from a branch in the manner that I teach you. But the branch you use to kill the lamb must be taken from the tree of life, for by such a deed you will break your allegiance to that tree and declare your allegiance to me. Yea, by that act you will prove you are my children and will become strong and dense like me. But be warned, when you go to take a branch from that tree, Eat not of its fruit. If you do, your bodies will become so light, you will surely die. Okay, so we're at verse 111. We're still in the Nazarean book of Genesis, chapter 9. Bear with me a little bit longer. I do think we're about 20 minutes into the video, but I promise you, stick to the end. I'm going to give some commentary on all the stuff we read. I hope you're taking notes because I got a long list. So verse 111, after Lucifer instructed Adam and Eve in the art of making spears, he sent them into the garden to kill a lamb. Lucifer said, when you kill the lamb, bring its body to me as an offering. I will then make you initiates of my temple. Yea, I will instruct you in the rituals of the temple of the serpent. Adam and Eve walked into the midst of the garden. Adam said to Eve, I do not want to kill a lamb, but we must obey the Lord God. Eve said, it feels wrong within me, but he is the Lord our God. Adam and Eve climbed the mountain in the center of the garden and found the tree of life. But before Adam broke a branch to make a spear, Eve said, behold, the time has come for me to birth our first child. Yea, even now the babe wants out. Indeed, Eve was pregnant and was about to give birth, for in the time of play in the garden, before they had gone to hear the voice like thunder, Adam and Eve had made love as they lay beneath the branches of the tree of life. And in this time before humankind had dense bodies, the time between conception and birth was brief. Adam said, we will make a spear and kill a lamb after our baby is born. Eve pointed to a spot beneath the branches of the tree of life and said, there is where we made love and made this baby. I feel that I should birth the baby there. Lo, beneath the branches of the tree of life, Eve gave birth to her first child. Adam said, behold, we are blessed with a son. Adam and Eve named the boy Abdiel, which means servant of Elohim. And the reason they chose this name is as follows. While Eve had given birth, perched upon the center branch of the tree of life was a white dove singing. Yea, the dove sweetly sang the name Abdiel, and Eve gave birth to the baby boy. Within her, Eve felt that this was a fitting name for her son. Adam also heard the song of the dove and knew this to be the true name of his son. Behold, Eve put the baby to her breast, and Abdiel drank her milk and was nourished. Then the family slept together beneath the branches of the tree of life. We're at verse 138. The next morning when they awoke, Adam said to Eve, we must break off a branch from this tree and make a spear. We must obey the command of the Lord our God. We must slay a lamb. Eve said, a voice within me warns me not to do this thing. Adam said, I too hear that voice, but we must not listen. The Lord our God told us to ignore that voice. We must obey the Lord. Eve made a bed of leaves for Abdiel beneath the tree. She placed him upon the bed to sleep and said to Adam, I will help you break off a branch. Adam and Eve tried to break off a branch from the tree of life, but they could not. This tree is too strong, said Adam. Let us make a spear from another tree, said Eve. And so it was that Adam and Eve broke off a branch of another tree and made a spear. Adam said, we now have a spear. Let us hunt for a lamb to kill. When they had found a lamb and were about to slay it with the spear, behold, another lamb came forth and spoke, saying, spare that lamb, spear me instead. Adam and Eve both took hold of the spear. Together they drove the spear through the body of the lamb. As the lamb bled to death, Adam asked, why did you offer yourself in place of the other lamb? The lamb said, I forgive you, for you know not what you do. Because I forgive you, the consequences of this act will not be as great as if I did not forgive you. The other lamb may not have forgiven you, and then the consequences would have been far greater. The consequences are still great, but this way you will have a second chance. And when my blood is spilled upon the tree of life, it will be as the water of life, and that will defeat the plan of Lucifer. We already won from the beginning. So verse 161 says, the Lamb died, and Adam and Eve understood not the meaning of his words. Then, as Lucifer had instructed, Adam and Eve poured the blood of the Lamb upon their hands. Adam said, my mind is in torment, and I am in anguish. Eve said, I feel terrible. I am sad and miserable. Adam said, let us take the body of the Lamb to the Lord our God. Perhaps he can make us feel better. All right, so that's verse 168. And I think we're going to take a break and put the rest on another video. I have a list of things here, like the name of Lucifer's tree told us that it was Baal, and that meant confused. So that's like connecting it with the Tower of Babel, right? And the tree of confusion. And one of the first things I noticed was that Adam and Eve were about to eat from the tree of life, but they had this outside distraction. So that's a message and a lesson all there too. And Lucifer came with a whole lot of rules. I mean, it was not freedom, no freedom at all. He forbid them from eating from the tree of life. And did you notice that the serpent in the very beginning was talking to Lucifer in the mind of Lucifer? And therefore, there's no actual snake talking in this story. Yeah, there was a lot of things that he said that were twisted. I hope you were able to catch them. I'm definitely going to shed light on them more and more throughout the rest of this series. He was telling and preaching to Adam and Eve about materialism, their bodies being weak. Oh my goodness, it was so much, right? And also even about staying away from the veneration of the sun, because the staff of the seventh heaven, the Abrahamic staff, is, like he said, it's made of wood, and it has vines and flowers and a sun with wings in the top. So he said to them to stay away from that. So we have him really saying some serious detrimental things here, but we're not done. We got more to come. Keep your listening ears on. Maybe watch it a few times. I saw a lot. I just gave you like 2 or 3 things, but I literally got a list of like over 50 things here that I heard in the story. But for me, it's like maybe the 20th or 30th time that I've read this story, so things are popping out to me. So definitely rewatch the video, get a good digestion of what is being said and who is saying what. So because we're coming with more heat. All right, stay warm, y'all. Got snow just pouring down outside. All right, thanks for watching. Stay tuned.
I done had it, grown up in ghetto.